When you hear the words post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, you probably think about soldiers returning from a war zone. But there are first responders on the front lines right here at home, and they're dealing with it too. Mike Thompson now joins us with the first of his special series of reports.
Martha, they are the people we depend on to keep us safe and to be there for us in our time of need. But statistics show about 1 in 10 first responders has PTSD. That's worldwide. And many are affected by it in silence. Tonight, a local police officer breaks his silence about this mental illness in hopes of ending the stigma and helping others. Onalaska Police Officer Jim Page
307-10-8
is a 26-year veteran of law enforcement.
I like helping people.
And as an officer working the streets day in and day out,
Middle name out of Minnesota.
he never knows what the next call will bring. March 29th, 2010 is one he'll never forget.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
The initial dispatch was a domestic where the wife had been stabbed and she was now out of the house.
My dad just stabbed my mom and now is putting a knife to himself. Please, 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 please hurry.
We were told by dispatch that neighbors were starting to smell smoke.
The house is on fire!
We had been told that with the house on fire there were 2 young girls trapped in the house.
Please hurry. Please, 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 please hurry.
We could hear the girls screaming, and eventually we got them out of the bedroom.
You're out of the house now?
We're out of the house and we're at the house now.
As I was getting in my squad, I saw the suspect come out from between the 2 garages. It wasn't until he was 20 feet possibly away from me that I saw the knife. Deputy Boddick, who never saw the knife until it was raised over his head, tased him, and I fired 1 shot. It was almost simultaneous. We got him handcuffed after just a few seconds, and we dragged him away from the fire. This is kind of where the good guys are different from the bad guys, because we started life-saving measures on him right then.
The suspect ended up surviving the shooting but was permanently paralyzed. He's currently serving a 22-year sentence, and the case is long over. But for Officer Page, he carries with him what happened that night every single day.
The first couple days after the shooting, I was way up here. I mean, not happy that I shot someone. Never did I want to do that, or never did I expect to. But happy that my training paid off and that my 5 sons and my wife still had me in their life.
He said, "Hon, I'm okay." But that just completely changed the course of our lives in every single way.
Investigators eventually cleared Officer Page in the shooting, and he was back on the job about 3 weeks later.
I felt like I was probably ready, but there's a certain stigma in law enforcement about admitting a perceived weakness. I think it takes a lot to admit when you're having an issue, and I couldn't do it at that time.
On the outside, everything appeared to be normal until one day, about 2 months after returning to work, he was taking a routine call from someone who had their identity stolen. When the man became angry on the other end of the phone, Officer Page snapped.
One of the other officers took the phone because it was very obvious that I was upset. I mean, I used profanities toward him that I wouldn't use towards people I'm dealing with. There I was, 7 or 8 officers standing there, a bunch of whom I had trained as a field training officer, and I stood there crying in front of them.
He was diagnosed with PTSD, and it was affecting every aspect of his life.
Nice shot, buddy.
Especially the people he loved the most.
I was very aware of PTSD. I grew up with a dad who had very severe PTSD from Vietnam. And I just remember immediately declaring that I wouldn't sit by quietly and watch him become more ill.
Constant intrusive thoughts. To this day, I cannot go into a restaurant and sit with my back to the door.
Within just a couple of days, Jim was having nightmares. When I finally would get to sleep, the whole bed would move because he would jump in his sleep.
I'm armed all the time. Loud noises at the wrong time still startle me. And that those things are never going to change. I don't expect that to happen. I live with it.
You know, it robbed us. It robbed us of time with him. It robbed us of his ability to, say, attend a music concert because it's too loud. There's so many things that my family never gets back.
But just when they thought their lives couldn't get any more stressful, a huge shock arrived in the mail.
To get that letter and try to look at my kids and my wife, it was heartbreaking.
And tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, we will tell you what was in that letter and why it had Officer Page so angry. We'll also introduce you to an area EMT dealing with PTSD and who also found herself in a similar situation to Officer Page.
So this story goes on, and a lot of people may not even know that for Officer Page, he's actually become very close to the girls that he saved from the fire that night.
He actually says that's what's helped him a lot get through this PTSD, and he actually had the first dance at one of their girls' weddings and also was invited down to take prom pictures at Riverside Park as well. And he also does a lot of public speaking too. He gives out his personal cell phone number to people. It's therapeutic for him to talk about what happened.
All right, so tomorrow night we'll hear from an EMT.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike.